With us in the studio now is Malcolm Lowe with the Commodore West Users Group, and next to Malcolm is Kelly Flock with Electronic Arts.
Kelly, Electronic Arts is obviously a well-known software producer and game software producer. How important is the Commodore 64 relative to your whole marketing plan? You know, like the Apple, relative to Apple, IBM PC, and so forth.
Well, the Commodore is very important. I would say that it's our second most important format behind the IBM compatible format.
What is it about the Commodore that makes it a good target for a game?
It's probably the leading home computer with its installed base of like 7 million units. And it's very game intensive since, as you know, we make a lot of entertainment software. That's a natural place for us to be.
Mm-hmm. And Malcolm, you've got a program in the tracked mode here in the background running called the Wine Steward.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, sure. The Wine Steward is a program that's designed to help people who are unfamiliar with purchasing wines to be able to make a choice based on the food that they're going to have for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and this was written for the 64, and it's used in supermarkets, I understand.
That's correct, yes.
Show us how you'd use it.
Yeah, sure. The basic screen is a menu of choices. You move down the menu with the using a white button that's on a cabinet, and using the green button, you select a further menu. Move down to the choice and select again, and you will be given a choice of total of 9 wines.
Okay, so it's making its decision as to what wines to recommend. And
that's correct. And there are 3 on the first screen, which are budget price wines. The second screen offers you another 3 at popular price, and the third at premium price wines.
How do people like this?
They seem to take to it very well indeed.
Any particular reason why you wrote it for the Commodore 64?
Pretty well an easy computer to program for. It has lots of features, particularly color, and you can program different fonts for it.
Yeah. Okay, Kelly, let's turn to you. And Electronic Arts has a new game for the 64 called Skate or Die, and I want you to tell me about that.
This is a multi-event game where it's kind of like a skateboard simulation, where you get to do all the things that you wouldn't normally do unless you...
you don't want to risk your knees and your elbows.
Right, all the fun and none of the scars, as we say.
Okay, Kelly, show me how you play Skate or Die.
Okay, this is the half pipe, which is a regular skateboarding event. You do it through a combination that's a kick turn of joystick moves and button controls. There's no need to look at the documentation.
Whoop. Oh, you did that on purpose?
I wish. I'm going to try and get up in the air on this one. Up.
All right. Ooh, beautiful, almost. So it's a combination of joystick and the buttons.
Correct.
Oh, nice move. However.
So there are like 12 different moves you can do in here. And you get points for the variety of your routine, and you get bonus points at the end. So I got 8,000 points, which is a pretty good score. You can get up to 15,000 points in here.
The crowd in the background.
Yeah.
Kelly, is Skate or Die available on any machine other than the Commodore 64?
No, right now it's available only on the Commodore. It was designed on the Commodore and takes advantage of some unique features, such as the sprites and the 16 colors and the 3 voices. We're in the process of developing it for the machines.
Now, Kelly, are there more things you can do besides just skating on this ramp? Or
there's a total of 5 events. The ramp is the only event modeled on real skateboarding, but there's a couple of downhill events where you can break bottles and skate through bushes and through a drain pipe. And there's a pull joust event where you have 3 computer opponents and you get to whop them with the little marine bopping stick. It's a pretty fun little game.
Now, what about the price?
The suggested retail on it is $29.95.
Okay. And is there something about the Commodore market? You just don't get more than $30 for games?
As the Commodore market gets older, it becomes more price sensitive. There's a lot more product developed for it as opposed to, say, a market like the Amiga where there are very few games right now.
So it's going to be something you're de-emphasizing after a while?
No, we make it up in volume.
Okay.
How do we do it? The volume.
Kelly, Malcolm, thank you very much. Gary, earlier this week I got a chance to talk to the new president of Commodore, Max Toy, and I started out by asking him if Commodore looks at the 64 as really a game machine.
Well, it would be real easy to say that, but what we are seeing in the marketplace is that it's continuing to be used in business. We're seeing it used on broader applications than we've ever seen before. Commodore 64 is being used for desktop publishing. It's being used in the small, tiny business. It's having a resurgence back in the education marketplace. So it is much more than a toy marketplace. Now, I will tell you that we have seen a growth and enhancement in the entertainment marketplace due to some of the software. But we're still seeing new business software being written for the product as well.
Is it a current machine? Are people still buying Commodore 64s?
The incredible thing about the Commodore 64 is it does continue to grow, and the market continues to expand. We sell worldwide between 1 million and 1.5 million Commodore 64s every year. And what we've seen is a whole new wave of customers coming into the marketplace. Commodore 64 has always been strong in the small, tiny business marketplace, but we're seeing a lot of young, first-time users coming into the marketplace. In fact, I've heard it said that Commodore welcomes more first-time users than any other company in the world. Brand new software is coming into the marketplace, and you got to remember, it's not old technology to the first-time user. And we're seeing a lot of people using this computer as their first entry into the power of computing. And therefore, you're bringing new customers in every year come into this marketplace. And so it is new technology as far as they're concerned, and we see software people continuing to use the high-performance capabilities for a very high-value dollar.
Who do you see then right now as the competition for the 64? I mean, is it the lower cost Apple, or is it the Atari ST, or are you going up against Nintendo and Sega in a way?
Well, the answer really is probably C, all of the above. You know, at one end of the marketplace, you compete against the Nintendos, the game machines. And what we're seeing are parents who are deciding that they would much rather have more than just a game machine for their children to use, and use the entertainment software and take it a step further with education and real use that the child can use it for. But at the same time, we're still seeing it used in business. We're seeing it used in television production environment as well. It's a very, very important part of our business. It's continuing to grow. We're continuing to spend our research and development dollars on the product and the peripherals and the support capabilities of that product. So it's a very, very important part of Commodore's existence today and its future. If you look at our greatest assets, they're an install base, there are manufacturing and design capability to build a machine from silicon up, and the fact that we've got such a strong, active user group community. The passion that the Commodore users have for the Commodore machines and for what they've been able to do with those machines is absolutely incredible, and that's exciting, that's fun.
Joining us in the studio now is Bill Morrow, a Commodore 64 user from Pacifica, California, and behind Bill, Gary, is a table full of synthesizers, all hooked up to a 64.
Bill, you're a very accomplished musician. What is it about this Commodore 64 that makes it a good music computer?
Number one, it's very inexpensive.
Okay.
The other thing is the SID chip, and that's the sound interface device.
Okay, what does the SID chip do?
Well, it makes sound. It has 3 musicians in it, you could say. And these 3 musicians can play individual notes separate, or they can play them simultaneously. We can have a flute and a bass and a violin playing all at the same time.
Okay, and then you can experiment with the different sounds and mix them and so forth.
I can study the attack, delay, and sustain and release.
Okay.
Now you've got some software in here, some composition software called Master Composer, is it? Show us how that works using the SID chip, Bill.
Well, here you can see I already entered a few notes.
Okay.
Let me go over here. And I have 3 voices. I've got my musician number 2 here. And you see I have some rest up there. So I have about, I would say I have 16 positions that I can
okay, and if you wanted to go ahead now and listen to that music you would just put in there.
And this is using only a SID chip, right?
Right.
No synthesizers, right?
No, just the Commodore.
Okay.
Power. Okay, you want to listen to?
Yeah.
All right.
And it's showing the notes that it's playing as it goes on, huh? And that's all just coming out of the 64.
As they're playing. That's all coming out of the 64, no help.
And they're the notes you had entered before. This is a little piece of music you wrote in there. Okay, can we turn that off just a second? And I want to ask you now to give us the whole ball game here and hook up all your synthesizers and see if the 64 can handle all of that. So what do we do to do that?
Okay, first of all, I have the MIDI interface hooked to the Commodore, hooked up with the Commodore. And from the MIDI interface, I go through my MIDI through box, which we can see. And from that, I'm hooked up to 1, 2, 3 keyboards, which all are multi-channels. And I have about 14 channels, or tracks. The musician would think of them as tracks, different tracks running. Then we have the drum machine, and we have a sound generator. over there, which gives me about 16 tracks.
And what's
of
the
music.
software that's controlling all this?
The software is Dr. T's software, and it's a very powerful software. You can record with this just like you're recording in a studio, like they said, take one and you play. Or you can insert the notes from...
okay, how about take one? Let's hear what it sounds like.
Yes, take one, say, okay.
Tell us what you're doing.
I'm doing an original tune that I and James Anderson co-wrote. Okay.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Now, let me ask you. You're a musician. What's the pleasure of working with something like the C64? You had told us before you were thinking about getting out of the music business, but now you're back in it.
Well, the pleasure is I don't have to have a lot of musicians to rehearse with. I don't have to tell them play my music simple. I want, you know, and I've got a drummer that this crazy machine will just play all day long. And most of the time I would wear musicians out. I like to rehearse. And these guys say, well, I'm tired.
So as a composer and as a musician, you have more control now.
I have more control.
With pretty little investment, as you said.
Oh, it's a very cheap investment.
Thanks so much for being here, Bill. That's our look at the Commodore 64. Hope we'll see you here again next week on the Computer Chronicles.